Okay, let's start. Everybody's fine? You're happy? Welcome to Ūmėdė pre-symposium. It would be beautiful to see you closer, but I see you like mushrooms. You are very close to the mushrooms. Be careful. The mushrooms are not dangerous, but they have a smell. So tonight we're gonna discuss an important thing, how to run a festival, and do we still need to divide arts into theater, performing arts, circus, painting, music, etc., and how to make a hybrid festival without doing it, without destroying the scene, because you know all the art scenes are very kind of gathered in small circles, and they try not to communicate between each other. For example, poets hate painters, painters hate theaters and actors hate musicians. Of course, yeah, I'm hyperbolizing everything, but sometimes it happens like this. So, okay, my name is Vytautas Michelkevičius, and I'm moderating this discussion tonight on stage. We have our three beautiful guests. Ignas Pavliukevičius, artist, Julijonas Urbonas, artist designer, and Gailė Griciūtė, artist composer. I guess I'm right. And we will have a few interesting shots and slots, but let's have first of all a drink, because symposium is always a drink. Thank you, Andrew. And we also have Andrew. Sorry, I forgot you. You are Andrew is remote in Helsinki, but he will be connected to the stream as soon as he has a chance to speak.
And Andrew is?
Andrew Griff Patterson is the artist and the curator and artist organizer. He is co-director of Pixel Ache Helsinki Festival, which will have a show next year. Yes, so Ūmėdė is a new festival, and on this occasion we are having this discussion. This new festival had to happen in mid-November, but unfortunately, due coronavirus, nobody can come. So we moved it to the next year, to 2021. And this is the first warm-up for the festival, and this discussion will set maybe the background for it. Since Gailė has to run away very soon, so she will start the thing. And my question for all of the speakers was, can you say your opinion about disciplinary festivals? Do you like disciplinary or post-disciplinary festivals, and how can you run a festival without insulting the other circles in the arts? Yeah, welcome on stage.
Hello. So my name is Gailė, and I apologize in advance because I have a performance in 2 hours, and I will have to leave very soon to do makeup and to put silicone mask, which requires some time. Therefore, I will not be able to participate during the whole conversation. But thank you for the question. And as my background is a classical musician, and I've been working in field of sound and music through my artistic practice, I can only talk from that perspective. And what I have noticed while participating and visiting different festivals for music is that somehow festivals are expanding the definitions of music and the borders of music and sound and other arts, and trying to investigate and find different dialogues with other disciplines, and through that dialogue in the thresholds of different disciplines, really interesting things are happening. And this tendency I notice in almost all festivals that I've been participating or visiting during the last years. And I think that is a very great initiative and way of thinking, because it helps to broaden the view and the understanding and the connection with the environment where existing and creating our art. So yeah, I think that I'm very curious to see how it will evolve further and where the borders will end.
And you have visited mostly music festivals, yes?
Yes.
Have you seen a lot of people from other fields of art attending them?
Yeah, attending and giving lectures, and very often I see collaborations between artists and experts from other areas.
But for example, if we take one example, which is running in Vilnius, Gaida, Contemporary Academic Music Festival.
Yeah.
Always I go to it and I see 90% are composers, musicians, and musicologists. There are no people from other fields. How can you comment this?
Well, it depends really what kind of course, there are so many different festivals and they work in different ways. And of course, there are some that are strictly conservative and somehow follow the well-known path of being in one knowledge of expertise and keeping up with a certain discipline. But even in Gaida, during the recent years, there have been different collaborations. For example, last year there was a collaboration between this composer and artist Žilvinas Kempinas, and or others doing synthetic forms of performances where music comes together with sculpture or with video, and trying to find dialogue between those.
Mm-hmm. So you are happy with interdisciplinarity in the arts?
It depends. I don't know in what bubble we are talking in, because I think we all exist and create in certain kind of bubble with certain kind of people, and it's very difficult, I feel, to generalize, because it really depends from which perspective you are looking at things. So yeah, we have to be specific, I think.
That's why I'm asking you about specific festival.
Yeah, so in that festival, I think it's quite strict and conservative view, but I witnessed that over the years it's being broadened, and they are trying to open up and develop somehow their approach.
And have you been to any poetry festival yourself?
Not that I can remember now. I've been following some perhaps online, but participating not so much, no.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I guess I'm in my own circle or bubble.
All of us, we are in our own bubbles, and yeah, maybe do you have some questions to Gayle before she leaves? Anybody from the audience? We can open up now questions for Gayle because she's running to prepare for her performance. I have a question to you about your performance, which is coming at 8 p.m. downstairs in Empty Brain Resort. Tuščias Smegenų kurortas. Direct Lithuanian translation. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, so my question is, to which discipline do you position your performance, which is running downstairs?
I think it's a good example of interdisciplinary sort of interdisciplinary product.
Yeah, but to which disciplines you think people from which disciplines could like it?
Well, I come from musical background, and my colleague Victoria Damerel, with whom we are performing as ensemble I Gymnastics, she's a sculptor, but also she's writing texts. And what we end up doing is something in between. I could not say that it's a musical performance, neither that it's a sculpture. It's a combination, and it's in between state. So I invite everyone to join in at 8 o'clock and look at it.
Yeah. Yes.
You said that you come from musical background. Can you elaborate, like comment, what kind of musical background? Like
Yeah. Well, I was
Just
trained.
1 second, I have to make it loud. So visual artist Dara Jura is asking from the audience, Gaile, if she can specify from which kind of musical background she's coming from.
I was trained as a classical pianist. I've studied classical piano in Finland, in Sibelius Music Academy, and here in Lithuanian Music Academy. And then I did master studies as a composer in Lithuania, and also studied as a guest student video art in Städelschule in Germany. But that was, in compare with my classical background and knowledge in that field, that was a minor experience. Yeah.
Thank you, Gaile.
Thank you.
There are still some tickets, so I advise you to come. Tickets are free, so you can enter. You just say your name and you write, they register you.
Yeah, and don't forget to take a program, because there are texts which you can read later on at home also. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice one.
Andrew, do you hear us well? Okay. Yeah, but so who wants to speak now? Julianas? Ignas?
It's up to you to decide.
Yeah, I just, maybe you have some urge. You want to be the first or the last?
No edge.
No urge. Andrew, how do you feel? Can you still wait or you want to say your thing?
You tell me. I'm happily listening here in Helsinki.
Yeah, so,
Just a second.
okay. But I'm curious if the audience can hear this guy, or you don't see him. Maybe we should, when he speaks, we should move it towards you. Okay, so let's move from music and composers and pianists to our closest neighbors to Finland. And in Finland, we have a wonderful festival, Pixel Lake. I was attending it 2010, and it was a big inspiration for me, because at that time I learned about bioarts and how artists are using biology, and somehow putting it into their practice. And now we are in the Alt Lab, curated by Mindaugas Gapševičius, and you see a lot of plants around, mushrooms and some other stuff. So this is my memories, and we have been in touch with Andrew for many years. We were curating a symposium in Nida Art Colony. So now I think he will say a couple of words about the festival and his own position and interdisciplinarity in the arts. Welcome.
Hello. Thanks for the opportunity to join you remotely. If I'm going to speak about disciplinarity, I could say first, as an artist and organizer, I like to use the word like hybrid arts. As a researcher, though, I start to think about using terms like transdisciplinary, but one of my favorites is this undisciplinary, and the idea that it's maybe not necessary to define any particular discipline. If I'm going to speak about Pixel Lake Helsinki Festival, next year I'm the co-director of the 20th festival in 2021, and the festival's been going on since 2002. It first had the moniker around 2003, Festival of Electronic Arts and Subcultures, and that continued on for a good number of years until about 2012, when we started to describe the festival as or Pixel Lake Helsinki in general, as a transdisciplinary platform for art, design, research, and activism. And the open-minded of you there will recognize that actually can cover a lot of different things. And in recent years, we've included the idea that might be emerging practices. And when we think about it like this, then what would it mean is, okay, if it's not media arts, it could be post-media arts, but actually maybe we're in this position beyond that, the post-media. And it's a interesting, blurry space to work in. There's some aspects of the festival which add complexity and add different perspectives. So since 2011, we've actually had a different venue for the festival each time. We have had our festival on several islands. We've hosted it in an adult education center, a cultural complex. It has been decentralized, where some events have happened in private homes, as well as many different types of venues. And in addition to that, we've had sort of unconference events where there's been no curation, just the people who turn up. We also, since 2015, have had a rotating directorship model. So different members of our association have acted as co-directors. And also I could say that in our association, many of our members have hybrid roles and different perspectives and disciplines themselves. So all these things add up to a very heterogeneous and complex mixture of things, and it's not easy to predict actually how we might even make the next festival each time. So I think as a basic summary, that will do for now. We can go into the conversation later. Does that suit fine for you?
Yes, fine, thanks. But can you say a few words about your background? So you studied printmaking. So
Oh, sure.
how come you are into
My
this
personal background
position?
As an artist, I studied fine arts printmaking, and then as a master study, I converted into Master of Science in computing and mathematics in 3D computer graphics, and now for quite a long time I've been associated as a doctoral candidate in a media lab in Aalto University, although originally it was University of Art and Design, and that's got an applied arts and design heritage. And then personally I'm interested in social engaged arts, participatory arts. I'm a member of the BioArt Society here in Finland, and so myself, I'm quite a bundle of things myself, so maybe that helps answer.
Can you help us to understand what is BioArt? For like in
I guess if I just give my own perspective, because
yes.
personally I am involved more in everyday life practices, but for many people, bioarts could include arts and science, including living matter as a medium or material to work with.
Living matter?
This could be an interest in, at the cellular level, it could be an interest in molecular level, it could be an interest in the species or ecosystem level, so there's many different types of
Yeah, so and now we are locating ourselves in the Ars Electronica Festival for Arts, Technology and Society. Oh, what is your relationship towards it?
To society.
No, to this festival.
Actually, it's my first time to contribute, so I'm a total newbie. Even though I've maybe been involved with art and technology or electronic arts for a bit over 20 years, it's unfortunately only my first occasion to attend or take part.
Yeah, but I think I'm asking would you describe the type of this festival? Is it festival for media arts or I mean, do you have any what is it? What is your interpretation, feeling?
I don't know if I can make an interpretation at the moment because, to be honest, I haven't followed so much. And on this occasion, I find it really interesting that whether by design or by the circumstances of this year as a cultural festival, a very large one in the international context, how to manage not bringing people together in the physical side and how to create a platform and a context for people to gather and exchange in the virtual space. And if you just look at the program of Ars Electronica this year, it's a very broad and intensive program of many things, and it's very impressive in that sense.
Okay.
It involves an audience beyond the usual one.
Okay, thank you. Let's move now to Julijonas. He's holding the mic. How are you tonight?
What specific type of mode I have to
Yeah,
immerse myself now?
Can you somehow relate to any discipline?
Well, I can talk from quite a few of disciplines, but I would like to expand on what you've been talking about Ars Electronica, because I took quite a few times took a part in the festival in 2007, in 2010. once I was awarded in interactive art, in the field of interactive art. And it was kind of pinnacle of my career in that during that time, because at that time I was into what we can call interactive art, and it took just 3 years until I got this award, and it was that moment that I decided I have to quit that kind of art, and I just removed that term interactive art and just started to do just art. But talking about Ars Electronica, actually I've been participating both as an active participant and as a spectator for quite a few years. And I really loved that festival back in the 2000s or something, because it was very, very open and very hybrid, even though we specialize in certain types of media arts, digital arts, interactive arts, digital sound, and so on. But over the years, I've seen they've been struggling to kind of to secure the grip to the intellectual foundation of what media art is and what the relevance of media arts. That's why we were changing their festival sections. Once they had interactive art, digital art, and so on. Now we no longer have interactive art. We actually have hybrid arts. But also I think sometimes we just pop up with a new term, interactive art plus. So you can see that we are struggling with very intellectual establishment of this festival. But the same happens with the other festivals. I've been taking part also in Japanese Media Art Festival for quite a few times. And what is interesting in there, that they separate interactive art from art, but they have a specific definition for art: non-interactive, non-digital art. Very long term. But it has been for quite a few years. But now I think the 2 years we just removed all this long definition, just art. That's it. So I think this is quite an issue with this kind of naming or titling. Because once you take into account this term media arts, you are dealing with something that is tool specific. I would liken media arts with paintbrush art. If, for example, if you have a festival for painting as a discipline, then you have to name this festival the Festival for Paintbrush Art. That's how it should sound. That's I think the major issue with media arts. The very term is problematic. But even though it is very specific, it is quite techy and geeky. It still has its own advantage because there is a certain group of people. What Gaila was talking more like in terms of a bubble that deal with this kind of art, and I think it's advantage for those people to gather, to network, to share knowledge. But on the other hand, it is just too reductivist. It reduces art to its tools. Yeah. So, but I see the major problem in the very term of it.
But why do you think people who go to Ars Electronica or Pixel Lake, they don't go to Venice Biennale?
I wouldn't say so, because as I said, I don't know Pixel Lake. I probably was once there, but I don't remember much what I was doing there. But I know very well Ars Electronica Festival, and I've seen so many different people there, just families, lay people, regular Linz city residents. Like 60% of the participants are these people. We are not geeky, techy people who basically...
Yeah, but maybe Ars Electronica is kind of more open-minded than Venice Biennale or any other contemporary art biennale. They try, because we have like 100,000 visitors, so it's kind of for...
I think the advantage of this festival is that it is in a small city. If it was in London or a city like New York, probably it wouldn't have such a appeal to wider audiences. I'm not sure. But also I think we are really good in terms of curating the whole thing, because it has many layers in all possible ways. Even if you think about where actually the whole festival takes place, it takes the whole city. It's the whole infrastructure as a platform for festival. For example, one year it could be in a prison, another year in tobacco factory, another year in a ship, another year in a trash recycling factory with all the machinery working. So it's all the time it's rethinking itself in terms of format and venues, which I think it's really important.
Yeah, now it's in a former school in Sawdust 2123.
Yeah. yeah. Well, it's just because we have this emergency situation. That's why Ars Electronica all of a sudden became
worldwide festival.
Yeah. Triple W.
What do you think what will happen next year?
What would happen to this festival?
Yeah, will we still try to use this remote smaller festival format?
No idea. But I think it is really, well, first of all, I have to come back a very first contact with you. Vytautas sent me actually quite a different question to me.
Okay, you can answer it.
It had something to do with meteorite of Anthropocene that actually hit contemporary arts. And that's why media arts all of a sudden just disappeared, as though it was the meteorite of Anthropocene that was the culprit, the problem of the media arts. That was the question.
Yes.
But wait a second, why I'm coming back to this question?
I was asking about next year. What do you think? I don't know why.
Yeah, I just forgot actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'll come back to
my question was, what happened after the meteorite of the Anthropocene has hit contemporary art? And bioactivists, together with artificial intelligence and expanded reality, have exploded the discourse formerly known as media art.
Yeah. So if you think of something that is it's kind of black swan, you cannot predict. Something like pandemia, meteorite, aliens, invasion, or whatever. So it's very hard to predict. Maybe next year we'll have alien invasion, and probably the festival will have to rethink itself in quite different way. So I don't know. I cannot say anything. I just can just refer to this black swan theory. You just look it up and see what kind of specific emergency scenarios you may come up with. But yes, I just recalled. He used the wrong term, Anthropocene. Anthropocene is quite old school term now. Nobody uses it. It is forgotten. Well, we are
not in Lithuania.
Already 10,000 years ago, we already knew that we redesigned the whole planet. So can you imagine? It's 10,000 years old term.
Yeah.
So now what we have to talk about, pause, because now we are pausing all the all the activities of humans. You can actually hear cities are more silent because the activities are reduced. So we have to talk about anthropopause and how anthropopause actually affects
Žmogaus pauzė lietuviškai, ne?
I don't know. Probably.
Okay, thank you, Julijonas. Maybe let's have one more voice from Ignas Pavliukevičius, artist, interaction media designer. Sometime it was written in your CV, I remember.
Yeah, I need to update me. It's always changing also, but why it has been there, because I studied in the Netherlands in the Royal Academy of Arts program called Interactive Media Design, and then where it took this name or title for myself, but that's where my experience is coming from, interactive media design. That's where I started to learn about art. That's been most of my life as an artist I spent in the Netherlands. In Lithuania, just starting to know more and more. So as I was studying there, it was I had colleagues from, like, my department. It already sounds like a multidisciplinary. It's like every of my classmates was doing something different, very different. Like from painting to animation to what I do, doing AI art, which is actually kind of a new term. Not yeah, it started I think not long time ago. I mean, it's been done before, but like really came like I think it's 4 or 5 years ago, but looking at the colleagues from photography department or how do you call it? Yeah, let's say only photography department. Like when they graduate, you can see that their works don't have photography. Like some of their works, like you can graduate in photography department without doing photographs, and thinking about disciplinary, let's say photography festival. I think it would be kind of a pity not to include artists, photographers who finished photography and don't do photography. So kind of still narrowing yourself into these corners, strict corners of photography, where actually these artists, if you take those artists into a festival, they expand this photography discipline on itself, and they had the training of photography. So in this way, I think it's kind of if you make these boxes, you can kind of suffer from it in a way. But at the same time, I was talking to them. I think photography, maybe music, not that much, but photography would be this kind of a, how do you say, a special media that I think there are most festivals of photography as only one discipline, because with other art forms, it's very often it's interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary. You always go to a festival and you see that and that. I mean, different art forms, and in photography there are many, like Arles for photography festival. But what they say, what I feel while being there, it's very close community, and that's what they like. That's why they go there together. They
Especially analog festivals.
yeah, maybe. And they have this the publisher or photography book publishers, photo museums, photo galleries are coming there, and they have this good platform to communicate, to exchange, to get contacts, and so on. So it might be a good thing to also have one discipline where actually people who are interested in one would come. But my own experience mostly is coming from festivals like Ars Electronica, Today's Art in The Hague, Rewired Festival, etc. And all of those that I like the most, of course, is multidisciplinary. And then I think the most important thing is the theme that they take. Like Ars Electronica, they have the theme or the core of technology and arts, and then sometimes you don't even see while being in Ars Electronica that is this, like maybe this is just technology, and they present as art, and there is nothing wrong with that. So, and for example, Today's Art Festival, it's also there, like everything is happening there, and symposium, and then you can find tractors making circles in the beach. Also go and see technology of food, how robots are making food, or how people are making new ways of cooking, and so on. So,
But it's not art anymore, or is it art? Is it presented as art?
yes, it is presented as art.
Okay.
Put
Yes.
the label art. That's it. That's how it works.
And then sometimes, like if you wouldn't, I don't know, read or know a little bit of a history, what this festival started with, you would come there, and then you sometimes would think that this is a music festival, because there's a lot of music. It's just some kind of in a theme of the festival. You can see dancers there, like there is no technology. I mean, Yeah, but then maybe it's harder to find people, or like what I said with photography, to exchange ideas, to gather in one community that everyone is boiling about the same theme or same media.
Yeah, thank you for touching this photography festival. What is it? Žaizda.
Bund.
Wound of photography festivals. Yeah, it's I think really interesting why there are so many photography festivals. I also started my career as photography artist and curator, and I was going to Arles and some other things. Nida. Now there's a festival happening.
Photo.
Yeah, Kaunas Photo. Now it's festival happening in Nida, symposium on photography, and there are so many photographers who are trying to measure who has the longest lens. And the biggest one, the most heaviest one. Yeah, it's true. I mean, we're always doing this competition. My lens is bigger, mine is wider. Mine can shoot further, and mine no, but it's very phallocentristic festival because 80% is of participants are guys, boys, men, and they are talking, having chats about the technology, and we are some kind of geeks, and yeah. So, but why do you think this photography is such a kind of fetish? Festival of photography is such a fetishized phenomena? Closed or
Actually, no. I'm not a photographer myself. It's just I noticed this while being there, while working with photographers, but I don't have much experience in photography myself and festivals. Maybe you have, and you.
Yeah, I have,
I
but
feel like you know.
yeah, I told you one joke, but this is true. I mean, they come to discuss their cameras and advancements in technology, and of course they want to make a perfect image. And Nida, for example, with beautiful dunes and sun and sea and waves is very perfect.
What do you think about Arles? Arles is the same.
Yeah, it also has this nice, beautiful French small town. I don't know, but maybe Andrew, do you have to say something about photography? Why disciplinary festivals of photography are so popular in the world?
To be honest, I don't know anything about photography festivals.
Okay, thank you. Our time is running out soon. We have like 10 minutes to complete. Andrew, do you want to comment on something? What was said here on the sofa?
I have to admit to you that it's very difficult to hear properly what you're speaking.
You should have said this earlier.
A conversation also about the challenges of organizing festivals at these times. Is this something that you wish to explore more?
Yes.
Okay, so I can at least give you a perspective from our organization in Helsinki and our planning to make a festival in June next year, 2021. And we had an open call recently it was in end of April to sort of end of May. And over the summer we have been selecting from this open call. But when we had planned the festival, we have taken a very broad theme under the term burn, with the idea that maybe whatever follows that word can be multivarious. Like it's open to interpretation what this word might mean, because in English and in other languages, I can just say in Scots, refers also to a small stream, not to fire, that there can be many interpretations. And if you combine an open theme with no particular request for any genre, then what people respond to is more the words or the combination of words with an open call. So if we didn't ask for a particular medium or a particular genre of work, we received a lot of open questions about, well, what actually are you looking for? And we said, well, whatever you think. And this is maybe good for us at the moment, because when we're making a production plan for a festival, we're benefiting from having quite a long time in advance. I mean, we are still 8 months away from our festival, but we already have to think that there's a version A, a version B, and a version C. And the version A, of course, is the one where you can get people together like normal.
Like a Midsummer Fest.
The version B, which is limited access, and there's a version C where there might be no access to the venue. And we have to somehow plan in our discussions with open call artists and partners and other invited guests. So what might be your plan A, or what might be your plan B, what might be your plan C? And on top of that, as a consideration to think about, well, what can we guarantee as a festival? We hope, of course, to bring people together. We hope that we can bring international contributors. We hope that our partners can get involved with us. I should say that our venue has been confirmed since February to be the new central library of Helsinki called Ūmėdė, which is a profile of a hybrid third type of space where it is actually a library, but it's a media-focused library. It is a leisure space, it is a learning space. It has many different types of spaces within the library, including cinema, maker workshops, workrooms, game rooms, as well as cafes, etc. So there's many different types of spaces there. But if we are making our festival in a Helsinki city venue, then we have to plan according to Helsinki city's regulations in relation to coronavirus. And we have to work almost lockstep with their plans. It's not our decision what will be the end result at the venue.
So municipalities are killing possibilities for artists and controlling it. The big brother is back.
No, not necessarily, but we are thinking in the production office, what can we guarantee? And
Nothing, I guess, no?
is probably a festival which involves audio content, podcasts, streaming events, live streaming events. And then on top of that, we can say, well, if the library is open and it's possible to have the general public attend, not just registered public, then we can for sure count on locals. If we're lucky and there's no travel restrictions, then we can start to plan with nearby contributors, let's say in the Nordic Baltic region. And beyond that, then it starts to become a question of, in April next year or even March next year, which countries look like they're going to be accessible for us, for people to travel.
Yeah, it's a big problem.
Having, for example, 2 weeks quarantine time is serious. And
So everybody has to come for a residency. Everybody has to come for a longer residency, then you can host people. Yeah,
something to consider.
thank you for sharing. Our time is running out. We have only 5 minutes left. Do you want to say something like to conclude, or?
You could imagine that this metaphor I'm speaking of is like a wedding cake, you know, where you have foundation which is very broad, and it gets increasingly narrower layers on top of the base. And our very special guests are the ones who are coming from the most far away, and maybe they're at the top of the cake. So that will be my comment for you.
Okay, thank you. So Andrew is coming for the residency here in February, March. He will stay for 2 months in this house and organize a few workshops. Fry kitchen. Can you remind me? Something.
You're asking?
Well,
I will be doing some sort of
pedagogical kitchen work. Yeah, so you will meet him in live, I hope, hopefully, if Finland will allow him to come here. And he will also contribute to the Ūmėdė festival, which will be around mid-June next year. So let's try to conclude things and maybe say a few reflections also about the festival we had here. So do you think, Ignas, do we have a point that is it worth making streaming when you have 10, 15 viewers And most of the time here we had more viewers on site than remote. So how can you how do you feel about this?
Yeah, like everything that's happening right now. Like when I watch a TV show that is like, you know, was made 2 years ago, and I see people sitting together or shaking hands without any protection, I feel weird. And I had 2 exhibitions online. Yeah, and it was like when you see the viewer count, it was only artist and probably producer of the stream and maybe one mom, and that's it. Like, yeah, and then I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe
Now we have 10
I
people
think-
watching us, including maybe 2 technicians, 1 cameraman.
I think it's not working in a way. Maybe Ars Electronica did something bigger, and then there are more viewers, but also we cannot really see the count, because when you look at YouTube viewers count, it's very little. Yesterday was 5 at one moment. When we were about to stream. But then they had this TV channel that might be different numbers, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think they pulled off something more than the little gallery could,
Mhm.
of course. But then for little galleries, I think it's very hard to.
Yeah, for example, yesterday we had a TV downstairs running, showing the Ars Electronica festival. So I guess we had like 100 people passing by and having 2 seconds look. So we can count them as viewers.
YouTube doesn't count, I think, as a viewer.
yeah, but I mean, we can count as an organizers of the festival. So what, maybe somebody has questions in Lithuanian or English, or you want to contribute something, I can bring the mic. Gintare has, I see, yes? No? No? Maybe you can. Maybe you can comment on that, add your position.
Yeah, maybe comment is great, because I like the discussion a lot. I feel very new in this in this sphere or interdisciplinary arts, and coming back to Gaila and saying how to. The question, organize the festival is not to insult some particular spheres that are kind of established are already before. So there's no other way not to insult, because everything goes fast forward. And me as an example, artist who connects many spheres, and I do it very naturally, I guess. And there's no way back to one theatrical field or musical field. And I'm pretty comfortable in that and happy.
Yeah, and probably there is no need to name it. You just do
Yes.
it.
Yes,
It
it's
doesn't make
very
any difference
natural.
whether you name it interactive art, hybrid art. It doesn't make any difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel empathy to what
Okay.
you are saying. But what I would like to hear from you as a performance artist, in a way, how do you see yourself in this particular moment? How do you think about how can you do what you've been doing before in this particular situation? How can you respond? How can you do it remotely or in a different way? Have you thought? Have you given any
Yeah,
thought?
that's what we do all the time, because I'm rehearsing with actors via internet already 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So this is nothing really new. I don't really need to tactile connection with them, like as in a traditional theater. And there was actually one incident. I came back from Germany last week, and I was invited to Young Teatro Dienos, so Young Theater Days Festival, to do a performance with actors, and I organized assistant, friend of mine, she should go as my body to Klaipėda, because I could not go because I had to quarantine 2 weeks after Germany. And I said she's going to participate as my body to control the Zoom conversations, and I will direct the whole play via internet, and I can do this. I will send all the latex and I will dress the actors, and they would not agree with that. So I was very insulted, and I said, we really need to do this because there's no other way, and I'm comfortable with this. And they said they're very bored of these kind of Zoom conversations, but I'm pretty full on this, and I really enjoy everything. I was waiting for this already kind of a long time. So I think theatrical arts, traditional theatrical arts, has no other way than to accept it, you know, and this is the time. And yeah, we're gonna witness this. So I'm pretty, yeah.
And talking about Germany, actually, I saw a few days that the German techno is dying in Germany just because clubs could not be open. But we come up with this specific kind of streaming technique that Berghain, for example, one of the techno, you know, pioneers of the club. It's streaming. The whole hall is working. You know, the DJ, but no people. They're streaming the techno parties to everybody. So you at certain time
for free
at night, you open up your stream and you're techno partying at night alone with your monitor. I don't know if it works, but for some people it works.
Thank you, guys. Our time is over, and stay tuned. You have questions. That's very good. Yeah, very good. Very good.
Thank you. I just kind of wanted to comment on the thing you mentioned about Bernheim and just the music industry. Well, as a musician, in a way, and myself and a DJ, there's this one thing that we kind of forget when we talk about art in this situation, in this atmosphere when everything is digital. Well, when everything has to be digital, and I really kind of just got this thing not so long ago during the quarantine when I was doing like my routine stream, you know, just because I can't play in clubs, and I just realized that a lot of like you also commented about low viewerships on festivals and etc. A lot of art is tactile in ways that we don't even understand. Like for example, like let's talk photography, because that's kind of the subject. That was the subject for a bit of this discussion. Like in photography, there's a certain tactility of seeing those, you know, enlarged or maybe little prints, and kind of just seeing them not in a vacuum but in a shared space, and just thinking about how these like prints and etc. relate to other prints and to the space that they're displayed in, etc. And we kind of really don't appreciate these things, like these small other tactile things that are not really maybe connected with the art itself, you know. And like I'm guessing that's why like art in the completely digital age is kind of failing right now. A lot of people don't just come for the art; they come for the atmosphere, for the experience, for the tactile experience, especially of seeing and enjoying and consuming art. So that's just my comment.
I totally agree. The issue is that it basically technological problem. How do you bring back tactility and physicality to virtuality? Because virtuality has huge issue with oculocentrism, but because technology is oculocentrist, visualist. When it comes to physical interaction with virtuality, it has very little to suggest, to offer. So that's basically technological issue, and also cultural issue, because we live in a special Western world is totally into visualism, into so-called oculocentrism. That's the issue. So yeah.
And I'm afraid it won't change, no? After
It's I don't know. It would take
Yeah.
ages.
Yeah, actually now I was reading one story about how visual artists draw artist who was drawing. He tried to do an experiment for to stay in the darkness in his studio, first of all for 24 hours, and then for 1 month he completely isolated himself from visual signals. No smartphones, no computers, nothing, and he put the blinds on the windows, and he started to. He said he started to dream, and his mind was full of memories and images from media, from previous times, and they were attacking him because he didn't have any actual visual stimulus. So he said it's impossible to escape because they were coming through the dreams, through imagination, through memories. And he noticed that he started to smell better, to hear better, and he could say what time of the day is because of the sound, how many cars are outside, and he could make, when he was making a tea, he noticed the difference that cold water has a different sound from the hot water, etc., etc. So it's very interesting experiment, and he said, I recommend it for everyone, but not for a month, but for a day or two, to try to stay in complete darkness. And he was writing and drawing, and then of course he sold his drawings for a lot of money after it. Thank you for staying with us. And yeah, stay tuned, and in 1 hour, go on our Ars Electronica website, from Groves to Grooves, Vilnius Garden, and you can see a performance by iGymnastics. The world is here for you. It's really nice, half an hour performance. Gal turit kas nors klausimų? Thank you, Andrew.
Viskas, baigiau.
Gerai, gerai. Thank you for your contribution, and we are now